Hello, and thank you for listening to Your Credit Matters. I'm your host, Rondy Lambeth, bringing to you each and every day what I think the banks, the credit bureaus, the collection companies, the mainstream media, what they don't want you to know about your credit, what they don't want you to know about your debt, what they don't want you to know what happens behind closed doors, and how you can legally and permanently discharge your debt, get a fresh start. Have your debt forgiven, just like your sins are forgiven. See, if you can file a Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you can get your debt forgiven. You can pay back what you owe, pay back what you can afford, but it allows you to start over and allows you to actually live a life that is contributing versus a life of fighting and struggling. So with that being said, I have my friend Sean Doan from the Doan Law Firm that come in today. Thanks, Sean, for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's always nice to come to the station and talk to you, Rondy.
You know, Sean, you and your family have helped, 35,000 people?
35,000 and counting.
Counting. You're the number. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're the number one filer in San Diego County.
I am the number one filer.
You personally are the number one.
My office. The offices that I kind of overlook.
Here's why that's important, is there is a huge difference between an attorney that practices law, that passed the state bar, that filed a bankruptcy for a client. Because here's what I see happening is these attorneys are going to law school. And, you know, they rack up a bill, $50,000 to $200,000. And they got to go somewhere. And the first point of entrance, the first thing that they do is they're thinking, well, there's all these bankruptcies. I can just get into that game. It's kind of like getting your real estate license. You can just get in and I want to make all this money filing bankruptcies. I mean, is that what you're seeing?
That's the notion today. I mean, it's like the whole loan modification debacle all over again. You know, the economy's bad. Everyone's hurting. Let me be bankruptcy attorney and, you know, get in on it. And you know what? You cannot make money in this industry and being a bankruptcy attorney. It is so hard to do because there's so much work to do on each case that unless you're good and you've actually established yourself and you have relationships with the court, the trustees, and the big banks that you're basically representing your clients against, you know, you're going to be spinning your wheels, losing money to file bankruptcy cases.
But they get into it because they think there's this fast cash, that it's a easy thing to get into. And really, they're doing a disservice. You know, I talked to somebody last week. I sent him to your office. He actually paid an attorney a couple $1,000s up front to help him with his bankruptcy. And then the attorney filed bankruptcy and went out of business.
So that's a problem.
Yeah. And now he just lost. I mean, it's bad enough that you got debt. You pay the attorney, and then the bankruptcy attorney files bankruptcy on you.
Right. Yeah. You really want to vet out your bankruptcy attorney if you're contemplating filing bankruptcy. There's a lot of them out there. If you Google San Diego bankruptcy,
there's tons of them.
1 million pages of bankruptcy attorneys,
and not all of them are created equal. Not all of them can say I'm the number one filer in San Diego, which you can, because you are helping more people each and every month than the rest of them out there. And it's because you're trusted, you know, it's a trusted family name. Your family's been in business for over a decade. And this is all you do. This is your business. You're not dabbling in bankruptcy and dabbling over here in this and dabbling over there in that. This is exactly what you do each and every day.
It's my passion, Rondy, and I love it.
I think it's your ministry because, off the air, I know that's what you're talking about. You help people get out of debt. We
save lives.
Save lives.
We literally are saving lives, getting people out of debt, stopping suicides, violence. All that stuff comes out of debt.
You prevent divorces. You prevent families from being ripped apart over a silly divorce over stupid credit card debt. The number one reason for divorce is credit card debt.
Right.
And you can legally permanently discharge that debt through federal court system as a Chapter 7 or 13 bankruptcy. So, on an earlier show, we were talking about how to strip a second mortgage. And, That's really relevant right now because 50% of the homes in San Diego are either upside down or distressed properties. And a lot of people own homes here in San Diego. They'd love to own it, but they don't want to do a short sale. And that's a lot of options to get out from that under that debt. These real estate agents on TV, on the radio, they're saying, you know, get rid of your property, get rid of the most important and the most expensive investment of your life, your home. Get rid of it by doing a short sale. Well, what happens? I don't want to move. I'm happy. I don't want to uproot my family. I don't want my kids to go to a different school. But you have an option to get rid of that second mortgage, strip it from the property, stay in the home, and pay back what the property's worth. So how does that work? How do you strip a second mortgage or third mortgage from a property?
Right, and that just might be what, you know, that homeowner needs to make it make sense to stay there. You know, if only the second mortgage, you know, if I didn't have that extra $1,000 a month payment or $500 a month payment, I could live here. I can take care of I could even pay my credit cards off. But it's that second mortgage that I took out 5 years ago when I built the pool or did the landscaping or paid off some debt. You can eliminate that in Chapter 13 if it's upside down, meaning the value of your home is at or below what you owe on your first mortgage. So it might sound a little complicated, but it's not. An example clarifies it. Say your house is worth $500,000. If you owe on your first mortgage $500,000 or more, your second mortgage is completely unsecured, and you can remove it. You can actually remove that lien through the bankruptcy proceeding.
So I want to back up a little bit because I get a lot of these phone calls for you, and then I refer them off to you, and people will say, well, it's not unsecured because it's secured against the home. But it is unsecured because the home isn't worth what is owed. So it's technically and legally an unsecured debt.
Right. And the way it works in bankruptcy is we bring a motion to value the collateral being the home. We're motioning the court to say what the value of the home is. Okay, it's worth $500,000. Now we can look at all the claims. If there's a lien against it, are you secured or unsecured? If you happen to be a second and you're the first is at or above what that value is, if you're a second, there's nothing for you to attach to. You're unsecured at that point, and it's a determination that the bankruptcy court makes.
You know, what's really unfortunate about this, and I'm so glad to have you part of the show and in here, you know that with my business, I help people that have bad credit. And the majority of my business comes from attorneys. And I literally will talk to the bankruptcy attorney, and there's a few questions I'll ask them when they refer clients to me. I'll say, have you ever stripped a mortgage? And I have so many bankruptcy attorneys out there say, well, you can't strip secured debt. And there's so many bankruptcy attorneys practicing right now in the county of San Diego that don't know how to do this. And that's how you're different than them. You have to file a motion to strip it. It just doesn't happen automatically.
Right.
You have to do something.
You have to do a lot of somethings.
And is this something that's taught in law school?
No, it's not taught in law school. There's local rules that you got to be aware of on how to file these things, who the party is to serve. So it's
This is from experience. This is from being the number one filer in the state. I'm sorry, let me back up. This is from being the number one filer in San Diego County.
Experience.
You get the experience, and that's what it's about, is experience. You know, it relates when I talk about credit and people talk about their credit files, I always compare that to a driving record. You know, a 17-year-old driver has a lot less experience generally than a 45-year-old driver. And if you were going to ask for advice to how to drive across the country
or a ride,
you don't go to a 17-year-old kid and ask him for advice because he's had his license for 1 month. You go after someone who's been doing it for years and years and has helped thousands of people.
Who has seen every situation imaginable.
Everything out there under the sun, you've seen it.
Done that, has seen it.
And so you know how to address it.
Exactly.
You know, when I was a fireman, I remember my very first call. that I went to, and my captain had to remind me that this is not our emergency. You need to calm down because in 15 minutes we're going to go back to the fire station. And then I would see as time went by with new rookies where they'd freak out. And I've seen that with attorneys where they freak out because they don't know how to address the problem because it's the first time they've seen it. With your law firm, you've seen it all.
They call us at that point.
Yeah. You've seen it all. And so there's nothing that's going to shock you, nothing that's going to freak you out. So if you're listening to the show right now and you have questions about how you can legally strip a second mortgage from your property, legally get out of debt in the next 100 to 120 days, how to avoid foreclosure, save your family, save your marriage, you got to give Sean a call. You can call the direct line, which is 888-900-3678. That's 888-900-3678, and I'll put you in touch with Sean. Or you can call his number, 760-479-5622. Again, that's 760-479-5622. Or simply go to the website, badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, it's badcreditisAchoice.com. I'm your host, Ronnie Lambeth, bringing to you each and every day what the banks don't want you to know about your credit. The government doesn't want you to know. They want you to be enslaved to the banks. And I'm bringing the truth each and every day, and it's a truth that's going to set you free.